Hey, it's TDA and welcome back to Techtonica. And last time around we built the first setup for our little mini-mall over here, and well, honestly it's working pretty well. As you can see, we have tons of materials coming in here. All of these are basic resources that we are going to need plenty of, but of course we're not quite done, because honestly there's a couple of other materials that we haven't actually put into production just yet, and I also want to make sure that we can make use out of the assemblers and make sure we are efficiently producing buildings as well. Now, we don't need to mass produce most of the buildings just yet, but if you make them in an assembler, not only do you get twice the amount of resources, so the intermediate materials, but you also get twice the amount of buildings out of an assembler that you would compare to when you are handcrafting them. So let's make sure we make a nice little setup for that. Now, if you look carefully at the layout I have going on over here, you can see that this layout is exactly as wide as the construction I have over here where we're collecting all the stuff. So what we can do is actually take an assembler like this and then put it at a 90 degrees angle and make sure it's one tiny thing to the back, and then maybe put down 4 of these like so. And we can make a belt go in front of that with some inserters, and then we have everything perfectly like aligned with how we have it set up over here, but with a secondary line coming in. Now, if that rambling didn't make a lot of sense to you when I just tried to explain it, this is what that looks like. So we have the belt, we have the inserters, and then we have the assemblers over here, and of course we have our nice looking lights as well. Now, let's see, what do I want to make here? I want to make some iron components over here, so let's throw in some ingots as well. We need copper frames, and we're going to need some of these ingots for those. And then what else are we missing? The components. We're going to throw in some as well. This is of course not by ratio. We're going to have to kind of realign that in a moment. And then what else are we missing? We are missing the iron frames, so we can put those in as well. Now, if you press Alt, you can see what is being produced where. Honestly, it might actually make sense to make the iron frames over here, and then make the copper frames over here, just so we have the copper stuff aligned with the copper stuff, and then the iron stuff aligned with the iron stuff. So let's do that like this, and then we should have, yeah, there we go. Okay, now you might be wondering, doesn't this kind of congest this belt over here? The short answer is yes, it does. I also don't really care, because a lot of these buildings are actually not producing at optimal speed. This is just slow and steady. This is not going to be the end product of our mall, but it will be functioning quite well for the moment. Now, actually, I don't necessarily want to put all my ingots towards production of these components. We're going to get quite a lot of these components just by doing this already. And yeah, again, I'm just not that worried about getting huge amount of this stuff. The nice thing is, if you right-click a stack, you can only put half in there rather than the entire stack, so it's a really easy way to kind of spread the items around and get yourself a stockpile of things to do. Now, these assemblers are all making basic products rather than actual end products, with the exception maybe of the flooring. So what I want to do is make another small part, a small addition to this particular layout, like maybe like so. Is this nicely aligned? Yes, it is. And these are basically going to be constructors, or I should say assemblers, making buildings. Now, we only need 2 of these because we're not going to be producing all the buildings at the same time en masse, and we can just switch this depending on what we need. Again, not the end product, just keeping it simple for now. Now, again, a pretty identical layout to what we've done before, so just the inserters over here and a nice little circle just to make sure we get everything into the storage as quickly as possible. Now, the obvious thing to start producing first are, of course, things like inserters and belts. And once again, you get twice the amount of inserters from making it in an assembler. So we didn't just double the production of the mechanical components, we also double the production of the actual inserters themselves. So basically we're getting 4 times the amount of inserters, and same holds for every other building, just by making this factory over here. Now, the easy thing about this layout is that we can just pick whatever materials we have from this mall over here, and then we can just dump those in here and get that going in terms of production. This is going to make a huge amount of inserters. So again, it doesn't need to be producing non-stop. Just these amounts will already basically cover our needs for a very, very long time. Now with that out of the way, I actually do want to make one improvement to the layout that we had before. I want to replace these normal inserters with the fast version that we picked up a while ago. As you can see, these ones are a lot faster, so that actually speeds up the production of the power that we are making, the bio bricks that we're making here, by a lot. And that just means that we'll be more efficient in terms of that. Speaking of power, I do need more power here as well. So, and we have a quest to build some more crank generators. So let's just put those down like so. And then we have the quest completed. We can activate the crank just to make sure this keeps working.
Ingress RH1979. Report to production terminal radio for triangulation.
And basically what we've done now is we've completed all these sub-quests. We have everything we need for the ingots as well, so I'm gonna go pick those up. And if you look at the technology tree, there's a couple of things that we can unlock. The core assembler is actually doing its job quite well. We have 120 science to spend, so we might as well just enable the light stick, the mass collect. Anything else that we're missing? This is complete. This is actually not completed. The suit speed. 150% walking speed, yes please. The tool belt, why not? Anything else? Anything else? The flatten mode on the mall is actually really convenient as well. Makes sure you can make a nice little building area, so let's unlock that as well. The speed, mining drills speed to 180% of base speed is huge, but we don't quite have enough science for that. So that is definitely something we should be working on as well. However, first things first, we discovered some of these signals, so let's activate those.
Signal triangulated. New location added to HUD. Mind the voltage.
That's one. So we should have another signal on the map now. There you can see it's AS. It will guide us to a new mini factory, basically, where we can scan some stuff and get new technologies, but we have another one.
Signal triangulated. New location added to HUD. Mind the voltage.
That's weird, because we should be getting two of those.
Signal triangulated.
There we go.
New location added to HUD. Exceptional dimensions.
Exceptional dimensions. Okay, so we have two new signals on the map, but we can also upgrade the terminal and get some new technologies unlocked, and that should also help us progress.
Terminal upgraded. New technologies and recommended tasks available.
It's time to put those crank generators and power floors to use, Breaker.
Way ahead of
you. To
you.
make plant matter frames, you'll need planters and threshers, and they only run on electricity. After you grow and thresh Kindlevine, you'll need to thresh the Kindlevine stems it produces a second time to turn them into plant matter fiber. And then you can either craft the plant matter frames by hand or build an assembler to do it for you twice as fast. And that's a lot of new tech to activate. So if you haven't built a core composer yet, now is the time.
Yep, so we once again get a new quest, or two actually, or three. We need to make plant matter frames. We need 2,400 ingots and copper ingots for the next quest. So that's definitely ramping up production a little bit further. We actually have two new quests to get more signals, which will guide us once again to new technologies. And as she basically said, that's a lot of new technologies to unlock, so let's get to it. Now, to give you a quick reminder on how the technology tree works, we unlock this tier of research now, but it doesn't mean we can automatically unlock everything. So first of all, we're going to need science for some of these things, but we also need to first discover the technologies by scanning these types of machines anywhere in the environment. So we first need to find those. Now, there's a lot of new things, so let me run you through it quickly. There's upgrades to the mole speed, not that interesting, it's convenient, but not very important. We have a smelting speed upgrade, again, just quality of life. Biodense 2 actually upgrades the density of the biobricks, so that makes that fuel a lot more efficient, which is really convenient. The thresher and planter are going to help us automate the actual production of plant matter, which is really convenient because we don't want to run around collecting plants by hand for a very long time anymore. In logistics, we have pack size, which basically just increases the amount of inventory slots and things like that. We have some better sorters as well, but again, we need to make sure we find them first. We have the better belts, but that's 360 science, so that's going to be a little bit away still. We have some upgrades for ourselves that we first need to find somewhere out in the open. We have the accumulator, which we also have to find, which basically allows us to store energy, which is really convenient because if we're overproducing energy, this will allow us to absorb the buffer and then use that buffer once the crank generators run out of fuel. So that just means we have to run up and down a little bit less. And to make power a lot more convenient as well, we have crank connect. It's only 10 science, so it's definitely worth unlocking straight away. And what this will do, it will actually chain together the crank generators in such a way that you only have to click once and then they all activate. That's really convenient, and I'll show you how that works in a moment. Then last but not least, in the science department we have a lot of kind of quality of life things like better lights, mass erase, things like that. These are not essential to get just yet. To show you how the crank generators work, as you can see, these two are now connected, but these two are not, and that's because they need to be chained in parallel. So if we remove these for a moment.
Great to see you build one of those, Breaker, but it won't work until you place a crank generator on a power floor connected to it. And don't forget to crank it. That's why we call it a... I'm sorry, you understand.
I think you're a little bit behind us in terms of speed sparks there. Yeah, so we just built a whole lot of these crank generators. Normally you would have to click them one by one, and now we just hit the crank and all of them are charged up and supplying power to our system. So that just means it's now almost trivial to power the thing back up. We still need to do it once every 5 minutes for the moment, but at least it only is a one click. Okay, so the signals are kind of hiding behind our glorious Tower of Science over here. And if you look on the map, it's actually really easy to see where the signals are going to guide us, because as you can see, there's definitely some production over here. It's hidden by a wall, so we have to punch a hole in that. And I think the second signal, it's slightly off to the left, and that's probably going to guide us here. Punching holes in walls is what we do really well here. And it shouldn't take us too long to get to the other side. There we go. You can see it already. And it's almost nicely aligned with our floors already.
A battery pack. Sorry, an accumulator substation. I'll try to go easier on the recon slang. It might help you guess at what those signal names are short codes for. Accumulators won't matter for a while, but get in the habit of scanning anything and everything you find in places like these. It can only help.
Yeah, we need quite a few of those. And that makes quick work of that. Now you can't actually remove or scan all of them. These are actually still intact. So we could potentially put these to use. You can't remove them, which is kind of a shame, I think. So you can just take them with you and place them in your own base. There's a kind of a power station over here as well that we can't actually scan, but we can't do anything with for the moment either. We do have the high voltage cable fragment over there as well. And of course we have this cabin over here that we're going to explore.
If anyone else is still around, they wouldn't be here. These places were pretty much built and left alone.
Some crank generators in there. What's this? A Hoover pack, so we can unlock that now. That's going to be awesome. We can scan this computer as well.
This sector was a dream come true for hydroelectric power. It isn't surprising that we took accumulator construction seriously down here. I faintly remember power sources in other sectors that were even stronger, but they also tended to do things like explode, set things on fire, create giant clouds of poison. You get the drift. You can't go wrong with a good old-fashioned river.
Uh-huh, that sounds really amazing. So it's a nice foreshadowing to more complex types of energy. But for now, we actually get to deal with the accumulator. So this is actually the first step to getting the next type of science, blue science. But we need 3 more fragments for that. I already picked that up, so there doesn't seem to be anything else here. So we can go back to our main base. Okay, so let's unlock the accumulator. Craft a bunch of them in the efficient way through our assemblers. And then I was actually going to place them down here in the corner, make a new platform for that, and just have some accumulators up and running out of the way. But I'm actually wondering if we can connect these platforms up and see if that actually works. I think it does. They just lit up. Let's finish this and make this quite tidy with some stairs like this. But I do think these are actually connected now. Yeah, they are. That's actually awesome. So you cannot connect platforms through these stairs. Oh, you can connect them, but they won't transmit power. The game is very explicit at telling you that. But what you can actually apparently do is connect floors up by just building them vertically. So this is awesome. So now actually all these accumulators over here are actually storing power for us. So that's pretty cool. Apparently I missed scanning one over here. There we go. But it also means what I can actually do is just add a couple more of these to the list. Like so. And then just have a nice little accumulator farm over here that is basically going to store all our power needs. And yeah, this is obviously not going to store a lot of power if we're not overproducing a lot of power, but it's going to at least make our lives a little bit more convenient, because, you know, these every now and then do run out, so I do have to get back here every 5 minutes, but now it's actually going to be a little less than that, because I'm storing the excess power in the accumulators, and if I actually remember to crank this every now and then, we'll actually get more storage in these accumulators, so this will actually be able to run maybe 15 minutes without me intervening. Now, with some more accumulators added to the mix, this is starting to look pretty impressive, but honestly, this is just like a temporary measure to have some backup power in place, and I'm getting a little bit tired of running around collecting plants in order to keep my base functioning. So let's go hunt for that second signal over here that is supposed to lead me to the plant threshers. And just looking on the minimap from where we are at the accumulator section, you can see over here there's another base, and we can just punch a hole through the wall over here, and then we should be able to punch another hole in the wall over there, and that should bring us straight to the factory. And well, the punching in the wall did actually do its trick, and there's now some more of those high voltage fragments over here as well, which we can hopefully use to at some point make like a power cable from one facility to the next. Can I just once again say how beautiful this game looks? I know it's not up to the quality of like Satisfactory, which is really, really polished, but it does look, I don't know, I just like the looks. It's also worth noting that I just encountered a new type of plant that gives me a different type of seeds, shiverthorn seeds. So at least we'll have something to plant. And punching through some more walls brings us over here. Let's see. So restore power to the L idea.
Door unpowered and secured.
Okay, so we need to power up the door. I think we can do that. I think we have, well, I have some crank generator on me. Not sure if one's going to be enough, but let's find out.
Power restored.
Seems it is. Before I forget, there were some things on the floor here, and we do need all our upgrades. What's this? Pack size 2. That's always a good thing. And this we already completed. Oh, look, the door it opened. Let's hope the door doesn't actually close behind us, but I do have some more crank generators on me.
Jackpot. A warehouse. I knew that gigantic door was a good sign. Scan this place for some basic electrical machines, especially those planters and threshers on the racks, and pick up anything else you can find.
Okay, well, we're going to need to do some scanning here for sure. So I'm guessing these are the threshers. Yes, they are. They're a little annoying to scan from up here. We might want to run around, and we have most definitely the planters down there.
Lots of tech fragments here, but I doubt we'll find anyone to rescue. People would take what they needed and get back out there.
Okay, I guess you get the point. So I can do this away from the screen basically, but there's also a door here, which is currently closed, but there's definitely something of interest back there. So of course I went to the other side. Let's see if we can make this jump. What do I need for this? Processor units.
Task inbound. Supply facility access door with self-repair materials. Tier 4 technology required to manufacture.
Look through the window breaker. I can literally see the mining charge tech fragment on that table. What kind of miserable bureaucrat puts high explosives behind a securely locked door? You think we would be here if we didn't know what we were doing? I want you to fix that door as soon as possible. I want you to blow things up.
I want me to blow things up as well.
Calibrated. Auto injection of coolant standing by.
So what did we just pick up? I actually didn't pay attention. Oh, we got Shiverthorn coolant, so I guess we know what we can make out of those seeds now. Coolant for our mole, which is punching holes in the wall, and actually overheating was a little bit of an issue while I was digging the holes too here. It overheats quite quickly actually if you drill bigger holes. So yeah. Okay, so we're going to need to upgrade our technology to get into this chamber. We're going to need to actually do something with these threshers. A monorail system. A monorail system, you say? Interesting. And what's this then? These seem to be some different type of inserters. Oh, filter inserters. I am guessing we can program those to pick up specific things from belts rather than just anything. This is going to be awesome. Okay, so aside from the kind of interesting story that just helps guide you along the game, I also really like these little mini factories that we visit because they do give you ideas for certain layouts, how to structure, for example, like storage over here with these double inserters. Kind of also gives you the suggestion that you might want to build vertically and things like that. It's just very subtle, but it's really nicely done because usually these games just drop you on an empty planet and say, yeah, just go build. What this also shows you is that you don't need splitters in order to actually split your belts. You can just have a belt veering off from the main direction and it will actually automatically put a splitter on top of that. So that's important to note when you're making your own designs. Now it took me quite a while actually to scan the entire facility, but there were a ton of chests in here, a lot of resource I got from the actual scanning, because every item you scan, once you've already unlocked the recipe for it, actually gives you resources. Now I'm wondering what's up here, so let's go and build maybe tiny little stairs like this. And I'm assuming that will allow us to actually move up here. Can we? Yes, we can. We actually drop down here. I think I just punched a hole in the wall over there as well where we came from. Yes. This is actually quite beautiful over here. There's a lot of these Shiverthorn seeds over here that we can collect, so that's quite nice. Are those beds over there? What's up with this? We can scan the beds.
If everything else is right where we left it, my camp might as well be too. If you were part of my crew, you probably recognize this place. Procedure was to take a portable habitat module into the field. That wasn't for us, so we rigged an assembler to make all this instead. We did everything our own way, but whatever they needed for the expedition, we found. People leave you alone when you get results. Those were good times. At some point, something else started to matter. That part is all a blur. I know we were supposed to go home.
Okay, so the plot thickens. She was actually working on something, and apparently this was where she was sleeping. Yeah, all interesting and all, and we're definitely going to have to explore that a little bit further, but for now, let's build some plants. So yeah, I actually got lost a little bit there, but as you can see, my power shut down a long time ago, and everything is still working, although honestly I think a couple of my assemblers are probably running dry by now, but at least you can see the power is actually taking quite a while to run out, so that's really nice. Let's see what is actually still working over here. We're producing some wires, and I think that's about it, so that explains why we're not using much power. At least not everything came to a standstill while we were away. Anyway, the last thing I want to do in this particular episode is set up a planter/thresher facility, and I think I just said let's build some plants, but of course we need to harvest some plants. And the reason I want to do it over here in this area is because my miners are here, and well, on the other side of my mall over there. So this is a pretty central, nice location, and we do have a bit of open space here to work with as well. And of course we're going to be a little bit thrifty with our resources and make all our planters and threshers in an actual assembler. Look at this nice, neat open space, and look at our new perspective. You might notice that I'm actually flying around, well, hovering around I should say, because I can't actually go any higher than this. But yes, I did actually go into the technology tree and unlock the hover pack, and I crafted one. It doesn't run on fuel or anything like that, at least not in this version of the game, and I can now kind of fly around, which is really convenient if you're trying to make neat looking layouts. Anyway, let's get on with building some planters. Okay, so let's see. Planters apparently only have one input and one output, and Can we actually stack these? Oh, you can, but they're not powered that way. Ah, that's interesting. Anyway, you can stack them. That's good to know. Let's see. We can put seeds in here. So let's say we put in some Kindlefine seeds. They immediately start growing. So I'm guessing this is going to toss out the Kindlefine plants that we've been picking up. That's like the yellow bulby ones. Okay, so those are going to come out. Then we are going to put them in a thresher, which I guess could be one of these, but we're probably going to need more planters in a row and only a couple of threshers. I'm assuming this is going to be a fairly fast process. So maybe something like this? Question mark. Okay, so let's see. We're going to put one thing in, and apparently there's gonna come multiple parts out. So actually, just to test it out initially, let's just put it like this and see how this actually works, so we can then decide on how to scale it up. Let's do that like this. Are these done yet? Oh, we're going to have to wait a bit. Look at those beautiful plants growing in there, and there we go. They're being harvested right now. And what are we getting out of those? Let's see. We're going to get new seeds, and we're going to get whatever this is. Let's see. It is
Threshing initiated. Be advised that all generated outputs must be relieved for production without disruption.
Yeah, okay, so we need to automate it, is what you're saying. Well, I can do that, that's not a problem. Oops, 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 sorry about that. Let's see, this is what? This doesn't actually have a name. That's interesting. Anyway, but we can't use that for anything that I'm aware of. So I'm guessing that's the thing that she was talking about earlier, that we have to thresh whatever comes out once more. So maybe that's where this layout is kind of intended for. Or we can't actually put them so close together that we can directly insert these. That's slightly annoying, but we can make another little layout for that. So those unknown items are now being made into Kindlefine extract and plant matter fiber. Okay. So looking through the crafting menu, we can actually make plant matter out of plant matter fiber. So that's this stuff. And then we can make limestone out of Kindlefine extract. And of course, those two combined make biobricks. So in theory, as long as we have electrical power, we can actually make infinite amount of biobricks because we get the Kindlefine seed back. All we need to do is think of an efficient layout to actually make that happen, because remember, we have two threshers that both put out two different items as well, and we're actually going to need to make the plant matter fiber, we're going to need to make the limestone, and we're going to need to make the biobricks. So this is actually going to be probably the largest facility that we've built so far. Okay, so let's see, here's the plan. I have a couple of planters over here, which are going to make Kindlefine, and those are going to go in the thresher over here. I'm going to have the Kindlefine seeds going out from the back all the way around here, and then on a belt here in the back that's going to insert them into the planters again. And then the plant material itself is going to come out over here, go into this second thresher, then half of that is going to come out over here. It's going to go into the plant matter maker. Actually, it's going to come out over here and going to go in the plant matter maker. And then the other half, this Kindlefine extract, I believe it was called, is going to go into this smelter, because that is where you make the limestone. And then the limestone is going to go into this smelter to make biobricks, along with the plant matter that comes out on the other side on this assembler and makes more biobricks. So all of that stuff is then going to go back on a belt over here and go into this stockpile, where hopefully we will then have tons and tons of biobricks. Honestly, all of this combined is going to take quite a bit of power, but let's make the layout and see if it works. Okay, so I have an incoming belt for seeds, which are going to come out of that machine, and then of course the Kindlefines themselves are going to go onto this belt into that machine. There's just one problem with that, and that is we are going to need those filter inserters, these ones, in order to actually make sure we only get the seeds on one belt and all the other output on a different belt.
Filter inserters are especially critical for machines like threshers that produce both seeds and plant matter. You might not want to have different things spitting out to the same line or getting pulled into the same machine. And the filter inserter is going to help you with that.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I figured. So let's do exactly that. So we're going to have these filter inserters over here. I need to actually get down to inspect these. These are going to go and put these seeds on here. I'm not entirely sure if I need this many of them, to be honest. Just one is probably enough. And then hopefully we can only also manage with one of these. I don't have an infinite amount of these just yet. And then these are going to put out a named item. Okay, so something like this. The two outputs on the second thresher are being split as well on two different belts. One going to go into the plant matter, one into the smelter. Then both of those are going into this assembler, and then the assembler putting out into the storage box. Now, there's just one problem. This is almost completely self-sufficient and automated, assuming we have electrical power. The problem is this smelter over here still needs fuel. It's not going to run on electricity. So hopefully we'll unlock a different smelter at some point which actually runs on electricity. Then we only need to make sure everything is powered and it will keep running forever. But for now we'll have to make do with this. Okay, there we have it. We have the first seeds, or actually the bulbs on the belt going into the thresher. And this is actually producing pretty fast, so that's nice. And we have everything being outputted over here, so that's working like intended. We have the seeds going back, that's working. We actually have the extract over here. We have the straw, or whatever it's called over here. Yep, that is going into the smelter, working like intended. This have a recipe set? Yes, it does. So this is now making plant matter. And then all of that is going to go into the biobrick production and make us some biofuel. So, working like intended, and we can lift off. And you can already see that the first few seeds have returned into the first planter. They are being planted and in the second planter now as well. So we're fully recycling everything. Can this actually keep up? I think it can actually. It's backing up a little bit now, but this planter is actually not anywhere close to producing just yet. So it's yeah, I think the recycling is actually working pretty well. I'm actually really wondering, is it a one-to-one? Do we get a seed back from every single bulb? Yeah, I think we do. So there's just a couple of them still on the belt, so it'll take a while for these to be fully recycled. Okay, so yeah, that means we now have biobrick production fully automated. After observing this build in action for a little while, there's a couple of conclusions I could draw from that. So first of all, putting in additional seeds into idling planters just makes things more efficient. That way you don't have to wait for a seed to kind of go through the entire route before being replanted, but you kind of have like backup seeds to fill that spot. So it just makes sure that the planters are working all the time. The extractors are actually working so efficient that we're going to need more splitters in order to make sure that the output is actually being managed. But honestly, the output as is already backing up because we simply can't put it back on the belts fast enough. Now in turn, the stuff on the belt can actually not be processed fast enough by this single assembler and this singular smelter. So honestly, just by what we currently have here, we can probably supply 2 smelters and 2 assemblers with all these materials and make biobricks out of that. However, I don't think it's necessarily worthwhile to upgrade just yet, because it's also very apparent that the splitters, or sorry, the inserters I should say, basically can't keep up with demand as it is. If you take this, for example, over here, as you can see, the Kindlefine extract is already kind of not being put on in the smelter fast enough, and that's because these 2 inserters over here can't actually get it out of this machine fast enough. Now there's probably something to do with kind of, well, maybe doubling up on the threshers, honestly, but these things also cost 200 power, so that's like almost 1.5 of these crank generators over here. all in all, what I'm trying to say is upgrading this is definitely going to be a thing, but only once we get our power situation sorted a little bit more efficiently than we have right now. Which brings me to the end of this episode, which is already getting pretty long. We made a massive upgrade to our little mini mall over here. It's not so mini anymore at this point either, honestly, and look at the stack of science that we have. We have almost infinite plant matter now, and yeah, all in all, really getting a sense of progress now, but we really have a long way to go as well. But we were promised we get to blow up stuff soon, so maybe that is in the next episode. Who knows? You will have to find out. If you're still here, you're awesome, and I do hope to catch you in the next one.